Good morning. It's Friday, y'all. We made it. Another week. Shake your bums. It's Friday. Welcome to the show, Up Wise Up Rise Up show with me, your host, Danny Wallace. How are you? Are you well? How are we doing? Are we feeling good about it being the weekend? I was just in the middle of putting some makeup on this morning because I want to feel a bit, I want to feel a little bit like I look alive. So that's what I'm going to do real quick. How are we doing? Getting ready for the work day, the last work day of the week for me. I've been protecting my weekends. I've been doing so very well. You'll be pleased to know, for those of you that have been going, Danny, looks like you're doing a bit much. Like, do you want to look after yourself a bit? I promise you I am. I'm gonna take the weekend off. Let me know if you are watching along and where you are watching from in the UK. Say good morning. Tell me what you are shaking your bum to this morning. It being the last of the work week. How are you feeling? If you are watching on my personal profile, Danny Wallace, please do me a favor and hop onto the Queen Bee Danny page or hop into the Hive, because otherwise I can't see your comments. I've still not worked it out why that is the case. There we go. First past the post this morning. Sandra, hello. How are you? Sandra is a friend of the show, previous guest of the show. Hi, goddess. Fabulous. I am there for that this morning. Good morning, Diane Ivory. Hello, my darling. I want to talk to you this morning about timings. Not your timings, my timings. We've got to have a little think together about what we do in September. Good morning, Kylie Smiley Jones. Oh, I love it. Kylie Smiley Jones. Good morning. Emma Stewart. Good morning, my darling. How are you? It's lovely to see you. Good morning. Just getting ready to. And it's sunny, Emma Roscoe. It's Scorchio where you are. Amazing. We'll do the weather in just a second. Good morning, Sandy. How are you feeling? Are we feeling good this morning? I am. I'm feeling good. I slept downstairs last night, so I'm feeling quite fresh considering that I slept on the settee. It's been a long night. I get like you've all heard our lovely Wally snore a little bit, and last night it was a situation. I was like, I couldn't wake him up anymore. It wasn't fair on him. So I just took my heavy blanket and I went downstairs and I went to sleep on settee. And then I opened my eyes and it was like 7:30. I legged it upstairs to get ready for our show this morning. And I'm really excited about our show this morning because our guest is going to talk to us about some things. And these things that we talk about this morning are things that often we are frightened to talk about, or it's things that we are scared to talk about, or maybe the thing that we're going to talk about this morning, you've got a bit of a funny relationship with. And we're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about money this morning with a fabulous Claire Sweet, who is a finance expert. There's nothing that she doesn't know about money. And we are going to be talking about that in just a second. But before we do, you know the drill. It is time to do the shit weather. Tell me. Do you know what I'm thinking? What's going on with me light this morning? Look. Oh. There we go. That's a bit better, isn't it? Like a vampire then. It's not sunny in Longridge. You're right round the corner from me, Kylie. I'm in Preston. It is not sunny in Preston this morning. It is, in fact, this. It's a bit shit. So let's stick that there. It is overcast. It has been all week. I'm waiting for the sun to come back. Where else is it Scorchio? It's Scorchio where Emma Roscoe is. I want to kind of say that Emma Roscoe's around here, but I'm sure you'll correct me. Whereabouts are you watching from in the UK? And what is the weather doing where you are? Let's have a look. I hope it's a little bit nicer in the world where you are than it is here, because it really is. It's just a bit cloudy and a bit overcast. It's chucking it down, Emma Stewart in Northern Ireland. There we go. Northern Ireland represented over there with Little Rainy Bee. We've got rain, we've got scorchy or sunshine, or we've got it's a bit shit. There's no in between. If it's windy, if it's stormy, if it's, I don't know, snowing, we don't have a bee yet. Oh, look at this, Linda. It is muggy, humid, not sunny. It's a bit shit in Aberdeen, all the way up here. I'm sure it's up here, isn't it? It's definitely up here, somewhere around there. It's definitely in the north. Oh, let me bore you. Stop it. Let's live vicariously through Sandra this morning. She's in the Costa Blanca in Spain, and it will be Scorchio. I've got no idea. We're all living vicariously through the fabulous Sandra this morning. We've got Scorchio in Suffolk. There we go. Hello, Suffolk. I'm sure Suffolk is a bit more soft than that, but still, it is. Good morning. It's a bit shit in Essex. Oh, good morning, Essex. How are you? Let's pop you there then. There we go. It's a little bit shit in the Essex area. It's marvellous and sunny in right East Sussex. It's blue sky in Leatherhead, Surrey. I've got to get my southern geography better, you know. We're sunny in Elgin, an hour from Aberdeen. Oh, look. There we go. We've got some sunshine out. Oh, it's a bit higgledy-piggledy all over the map this morning, isn't it, you lot? All right. That's enough of that. Enough of the frivolities. We need to get on to the good stuff. How wonderful it is that it's raining in Glasgow. Let's get rain. Let's get Glasgow represented. I kind of want to. We've got to do this. We've got to like budget around a little bit. There we go. There it is. Look, we've got like a plethora, a smorgasbord of weather happening through Scotland. But hello, Scotland. I see you guys representing this morning. Thank you for joining us. If you can't be bothered popping your head outside the window, let me know where you're watching from in the world anyway. I'm doing so much better than you for your geography. Do you know what? It's just a way of us saying good morning and greeting each other properly in the British way. Send it down. Linda, where are you, Linda? In Aberdeen, it's got to go down a little bit. Oh, we want to send the sun over to Aberdeen, don't we? I'm not a meteorologist. We're just talking about the weather. We're British. It's nice to do it. It's what we do, isn't it? How are you today? What's the weather like where you are? Well, the weather's a bit shit. Or it's scorching, or it's raining. There's not much going on in between. So welcome. Thank you for joining this, our Friday edition of the show, Rise Up Show. I am your host, the Queen Bee, Danny Wallace. I hope you've had a productive week. I hope you're feeling good. I hope you're getting ready for the weekend. I want to know in the comments if you've had a good week, if you've had a challenging week. What have your wins been this week? I want to be able to shout out your wins today. I want to celebrate with you. Huge win in IATQB HQ this week. We have launched our toppermost package, our VIP, our luxury VIP one-to-one intensives, where people can go away with me for a few days and get all of the talks done that they want doing, and then I support them for like 6 months after. It's different than anything I've offered before, and we've sold some, which is just fantastic. People have gone, yeah, this is the one we've been waiting for, which is just absolutely phenomenal. So I'm absolutely thrilled. But that's my good news from this week. What about you? What is your good news from this week? Let me know in the comments. And whilst you're doing that, in the meantime, I will bring our fabulous guest on to the show. Now, me and this guest met during our mastermind, our Wave Mastermind with the incredible Lisa Johnson. To the later part of last year, and we have remained firm friends ever since. Please welcome to the Short Rise Up Show the incredible, the very clever. She's the lady that you need in your life. It is Claire Sweet, everyone. Good morning.
Hello.
Look at your green screen. You're the second guest I've had this week to have green screen going on. I feel like I'm missing a trick.
Oh, I just decided I wanted to do it because where I sit in my office is a really boring white wall, and I just thought otherwise it's just people sort of looking at a white wall is just boring. So I thought, right, that's what I'm going to do.
But what I love is that you're like on that white wall now is like a green piece of material so that we can have green screen. I'm just love it.
It is. It's one of those things. I looked at getting a pop-up green screen, and they were about £30 or £40, and I thought, hang on, let's think laterally here. So I ordered a kid's plastic tablecloth, like for a birthday party. It came off Amazon. It was like £1.99, and then I blue tacked it to my wall. So, you know, solution.
Amazing. I kind of want to do this so that we can see what's going on.
There you go.
Because normally we have it so that it's like we're close. Like, look, if we do it like this, then we're really close together, and it's like I could just go put my arm around you like this. Or like at the cinema, just like just like getting a little cuddling. But I need people to see what's happening behind you because it's brilliant. Hang on 1 second. She's saying good morning. You could come give us your arm. Quick, give me your arm. She's waving to everybody. Go downstairs, Daddy's waiting for you. So in the background there are some alpacas, which are your alpacas, right?
They are my alpacas. So we've got 7 alpacas now, and we got them. We got 5 of them last year. 2 of them only came a few weeks back because we wanted some more for the herd. That is it now. People say they are very addictive, and you end up getting another couple every year. But they're absolutely lovely. They are just so mellow, and yeah, it's great. It's a lovely excuse to get outside.
It's so like I never understood until I met you, and then another one of my friends has llamas as well, has alpacas, and I never understood like how it could be addictive to like get more and more, but you want them to be together and hang out, don't you? It's like
yeah, I mean, they're a little herd, and they've all got their own personalities. They all do their own little thing. You can sit and watch them play. You can hand feed them. You can put them on halters and take them for a walk as well, which we've done a couple of times sort of around the garden. But actually, I just like sitting and watching them, to be fair. And they're all funny. You know, they play together. They chase each other. The 2 new little boys we've got are really funny because the little ones, they're sort of quite teenager-like, and they do chase each other and try and like bite each other's necks and bite each other's legs, and you know, things like teenagers and kids do. It's like watching them play. So that is quite funny, but yeah, they are very cute.
I love it because I mean, in a lot of what bless him, look, he's coming to hydrate me. I'm getting my hydration. Thank you very much, Wallace. He's a legend here. Because whenever there's any PR or things that kind of go on, you know, when you talk about your business, kind of the leading is often the alpacas. So I thought, well, let's talk about the alpacas first, and then we can get into the real nitty gritty of what we want to talk about today, which is money. But I want to know what brought you to alpacas. How did you just sit there one day and go, do you know what? I want a llama.
Well, no, not quite, but there's not far off that, to be fair. So back in 2009, I did a charity trek in the Andes. I did the Inca Trail to raise money for the Kent Air Ambulance.
Right.
And when I was there, I first saw alpacas and llamas. I couldn't even work out which was which. The local guide that was showing us around, you'd sort of see one, you go, oh, that's a llama. It's like, no, it's an alpaca. And you're like, I just couldn't grasp the difference. So now I'm completely sorted, which is good.
Yeah.
And they were just really cute. And I just thought, oh, okay. And then there was one night where I'm sitting there in front of the telly, scrolling through my phone. You know, we've all done this thing. And on Groupon, I found a voucher to go alpaca trekking. Now, it was my husband's birthday coming up. And if you remember, your mum always said to you, buy somebody a gift that you would like to receive, you know. So I did. So for his birthday, he opened up this card on his birthday that had in it a voucher to go alpaca trekking. And he went, what? And I was like, yeah, come on, we're going to love it. It's going to be great. And we went, and you know what? It was so good because they're such cute animals. They've got really good characters. They're really good natures. And we took them for a walk. We sort of fell in love with them. And then didn't think anything of it except some throwaway comment about, we should get these. They're lovely. And we both wanted to live in the countryside. We'd always wanted to do that. And then we sort of thought about it again, and it was like, well, actually, why can't we get alpacas?
Why not?
Well, why not? So we went and did another day's training, another breeder local to us, which is where we actually got our boys from in the end. And we did another day, took some for a walk, and learnt some of the husbandry, how to look after them type thing. I thought, actually, this could be really good. So we decided we were going to move. We needed a house that had at least an acre of land, because alpacas are a herd animal. You have to have at least 3. And you have to have at least an acre of land.
Right.
And so we started looking at properties thinking, well, we're going to have to move. I mean, we lived it was a detached house, but it was in a town. It had a small garden. It didn't have anywhere that you could put
You can't just have an alpaca in a garden.
Exactly. You can't
like a rabbit
in your yard and think that'll do. And so we thought, okay, we want to do this. So we started looking around for properties and things. And then we found this one. We moved in 2 years ago on Valentine's Day. So about 2.5 years ago now. Spent the first year getting the land ready, getting fencing up. So the fencing that you can see in the picture there, that was all put up new by some farmers for us. Had the barn put up because there was an old dilapidated barn. The previous owners, like 20 odd years ago, had some sheep. So there was some infrastructure in place, but not really.
Yeah.
So we got it all ready and did all the stuff with that. And my husband sort of took photos and posted them all over the alpaca chat group on Facebook, because on Facebook we know there are groups for pretty much everything you want to do.
Everything.
Exactly. We got, and then the British Alpaca Society actually did an article on us last year where they wanted to do almost like what good looks like, because they were really pleased with the standard that we'd done it to.
Amazing.
So that was really, really good. And then our first boys came last year on my birthday. So my birthday present, the 5 alpacas came. Absolutely brilliant. And then this year we were due some more March, April, but obviously because of lockdown we had to wait. So they came beginning of June. Yeah, and they're great.
And
so,
you know, the family ever since.
Exactly. And, you know, they're quite easy to look after. But they are just so cute. And the two new boys are just completely different personalities from the other ones we've got. But they are so lovely. At some point, you'll have to come and see them.
Do you know what? I am on it. John just said, came to learn about money, now Googling buying a llama farm, only with Queen Bee TV. That's exactly the experience I expect for everybody coming across the show.
The thing is, it's just one of those things that we decided that we wanted to do it, and then we got a plan, and then we got on and we did it. Because actually, in life, I think that is the secret to whatever it is that you want to do. Right. You know, you need to have a picture of what you want to do, and then you need to get off your backside and go and do it.
Exactly that. And that takes us kind of nicely on to the money conversation. And for so many people, money's a dirty word. For so many people, money is a fearful thing. For myself, for many, many years, I daren't look at things like my credit report. I daren't look, because I almost knew what I was going to see. Actually, when we first started looking at, when we started to have to, when we last got the the windscreens put through on the car, and I was like, we can't live here anymore. We can't, like, we've got to find somewhere to live. If we're going to do that and we're going to buy a house, you're going to have to see whether that's going to be possible or not. You're going to have to go and check your credit score, Daniela. I was pleasantly surprised, actually. All the hard work that we've been doing had been paying us. It was quite a pleasant experience, but it hadn't been. And knowing what your money's doing is hard work. So having somebody like you, and also how you feel about money as well, like how the help that you want to give people around money, I always find really compelling, and I love it when you talk about this. Tell us what it is that you do in the first instance.
Okay, so I'm a financial advisor. I'm fully qualified, and I work in the regulated field, and I do all the stuff that you would expect your financial advisor to do. So I help people when they are buying a house, they need to get a mortgage. I help people with their retirement planning and pensions, investments, inheritance tax, all the things you'd look, protection for your family, things like life cover and sick pay and all that type of stuff. But on top of that, I've then got the whole money coaching side of my business, which is all about education, training and empowering. And I don't really like the word empowering. I think it all sounds a bit sort of burn your bra type
sounds
feminist.
A bit wanky, doesn't it, sometimes?
Exactly. It isn't me at all. But ultimately, that's what it's about. It's about giving ordinary people the confidence to actually make the right decisions with their money. And the problem is that there is so little training out there. I mean, most people don't learn anything about money at school. I mean, we had at school, sum of my financial education at school was someone teaching me how to write a check in home economics. And obviously that's particularly useful these days, because I don't think anybody's even got a checkbook.
Do you know what?
You know, it's like you've got to send someone a check and you're like, I haven't even got a checkbook.
What even is a checkbook? My kids don't know what a checkbook is, don't know what a check is.
No. Exactly. There's no concept of that. And then we had somebody who came into the school at sixth form basically to tell you that now you're 18, you'll be offered credit cards. Don't get one. Credit cards are bad. And that was it. That's all I had. And you go off to university or you go out into the world of work and nobody tells you anything. If you're lucky, you know, your parents will have steered you in the right direction, but often they don't know any better either.
Right.
Which means that you end up in this situation where you sort of either work it out as you go along or you don't. Yeah. And sometimes you can take a couple of wrong steps and end up in a hole so quickly that then is really hard to get out of. So I think if people can be educated and they can make the right decisions, it just helps them, because every little step you take in the right direction is moving you closer to something good, something where you want to be.
And it's interesting that you say that you often model what your parents did with money, because that's the closest you ever get to understanding what the transactional process of money looks like, be it from a credit point of view, be it from a, an earning point of view, be it from a work ethic point of view. You learn a lot of that generationally, and we learned a lot of that generationally. I learned a lot of that generationally. It's really interesting to see what my behaviors, when I first started working or first started earning my own money, what my behaviors were with money as soon as I was able. And this is no slight on my mum, because I know that this happened with my grandma, and probably as far back, but it was the whole, the provident loans and the hanging behind the, hiding behind the settee when the door knocked, and all of that kind of never stuff that, whole wages were chewed up in stuff that had been bought previously that really they couldn't afford, instead of being able to afford. And there wasn't really a save up kind of culture. It was, you get it and then you work it out later, and sometimes you can't work it out later.
I think the thing is that people's experience with money as a childhood has an effect, whether they realise it does or it doesn't. And whether you go back and look at this as a conscious thing, and actually sit and think about it and take the time to think, well, okay, what did my parents tell me? What did my family say? What do I think about things? I mean, I do some stuff with client on money mindset. It's not my area of specialism. I touch on it, but I don't do loads of it. But it's amazing the things that come out. And it's almost like, do you remember that Mallet's Mallet game on TV when you were a kid? Yeah, they used to whack each other. And the idea is, exactly, I say to you a word and you say the first thing that comes back in your head. Right. When you have that conversation with a client and you say to them, okay, people with loads of money are, it's the word that you say. What is that word? What's that thing that you say when your mouth doesn't say it, but something inside says it, and it just comes out and you think, oh shit, I've just said that. What was that? And it is those things that you don't realize. I mean, I had a reasonable relationship with money. I mean, my parents split up when I was 11, and my mum never had loads of money. We were fine. We weren't skint. We still went on holiday and stuff. But I do remember my mum putting the summer holiday on a credit card and then paying it off. And then we got to Christmas and that went on a credit card, and then she paid that off. And it was a bit of a cycle. It was the same as the yo-yo dieting. We always lose weight for the summer holiday and then we put it back on again. And it was just, as growing up, it was just a habit. My dad had a better job, had better money. And I remember when I came home from school, if there was a letter about a school trip, she was like, well, if you want to go, you'll have to ask your dad for the money. And, when I went to go and see my dad, I'd go to my dad's for the weekend. And while I was there, I was like, can I go on this trip and, come home with a check for 50 quid or whatever it was for the trip that I wanted to go on with the school. So, I mean, there wasn't loads of it, but we didn't really talk about it. I mean, I didn't know how much my mum earned or my dad. You don't talk about what people earn. You wouldn't know what people borrow or how much houses were worth that they lived in.
I've just bought a house. Like, I'm finding this now. Like, because there's been a lot of work that I've been doing around my money mindset, around the management of my money, around trying to, like, make sure that I'm being savvy, or as savvy as I possibly can be, with my money and all of this sort of stuff. But I talk to people who've recently bought houses, and they don't like to say how much they paid for their house, or like, I'm dead excited to be able to pay the amount I'm about to pay for my house. I'm like, I'm made up with my little self. I'm so proud.
The daft thing is, I mean, all joking aside, is that if you buy a house, it's actually part of a public record anyway. If you go on to somewhere like Zoopla or whatever, you can see what someone bought their house for. It's all on there. There's nothing to hide. I mean, equally, it doesn't tell you how much mortgage they've got or how they paid for it. But I think we're becoming, as a society, less secretive about money. We're happier to talk about it. There's been various campaigns. Lloyds Bank ran one. I know that Martin Lewis on the Money Saving Expert has been trying to get financial education into schools. And it's one of those things that if you know what you're doing, you can make a better choice. And I think that, the stuff that your parents tell you, if you know that it's there, you can choose to accept it and either think, yes, that's true for me, or no, it's not. I mean, I see clients that don't get into debt and never have any credit cards because they saw parents get into a hole and it was enough for them to think, I'm not doing that. But equally, as you said, there's people where generation after generation, they always do it because they always have. And, one thing I find is that living down here in the South, property prices are a lot more expensive. Saying people typically still buy their homes. Whereas, I've got clients who are landlords who own rental properties, and they buy properties up in the north. And, you know, I sit and look at it, and we sit and look at it and think, well, if you could buy a house for £60,000, why would you be renting? Why would you not just buy it? And actually, culturally, there are whole loads of people that always rent the home they live in, and their parents do, and their friends do, and their family do, and everyone they know, and they don't know anyone that's bought a house. And sometimes stepping outside of what's normal for your society or your peer group is really hard, because then again, that triggers the money mindset, because you think, well, okay, if I buy my house and my sister doesn't own her house and my parents don't own their house, are they going to think I'm uppity because I own my own house, or whatever word you choose to use at that point?
Flash bastard. We get around here, flash bastard.
You know, so it's one of those things that sometimes you have to get on top of. I mean, I still do money mindset work, and I'm working through a package at the moment by Emily Williams. And funny enough, I did some stuff last week and didn't even realize that something had come up for me, which was that in order for me to be rich, I need to either win the lottery or marry a rich bloke.
Do you know what? It's interesting. I've spoken about Disneyland. For me and my family growing up, it was always when we won the lottery. I will take you to Disneyland when we win the lottery. That's all we heard when we were growing up. And it made Disney so unobtainable that we would have to do something inconceivable in order for us to go to Disneyland, France, America, wherever, particularly America. And when I took the girls to Disneyland last year, it was almost like cutting away the ties from that. It was more emotional for me. The girls fought the entire time we were there, and I was having a great time, and I was so grateful. And they were only little; they didn't realize it was such a massive thing. It was like I hadn't won the lottery. I wasn't like particularly well off at that point, but we managed to save up for it and have goals around it, and it really was for me a destination to kind of shed a skin. But like you say, win the lottery or marry a rich dude.
Exactly. And you know what? I mean, I'm now married for the third time, and I've never managed to marry a rich dude, so that's not going to happen. And you know, although I do the occasional lottery ticket just for a bit of a laugh, when you see the thing come on the TV and it says, "Oh, it's a £150 million rollover," I think, go on, I'll stick £1 on that. You know, but you know, I don't. And it's funny because actually, statistically, the people who pay the most lottery are the people who can least afford it, because it is their escape. To some people, that is the only way they think they will ever get out of the cycle they're in. And what I want to show people is actually there is a more sensible way to do that. You know, there is a way for you to get out of where you are. And you know what, the first step is awareness. And you know, I've always maintained it doesn't matter how much money you've got or not got, but you should know what that figure is. Okay, so, you know, if you're watching this today and you look at it and think, I haven't got any money, I've only got £12 in my current account, or my current account is overdrawn, good, because you know that. That's absolutely fine. That is the first step. The people that really struggle are the people where I say, how much money have you got in your account? And they're like, no idea.
I don't want to look.
Or they've just got no idea, because they just spend. And if they're lucky, they spend less than they earn, but they don't look at it. They just go, they tap their card, they do their stuff, and they hope that they don't get their payment rejected when they get to the checkout.
Again, that's like playing a lottery, isn't it? That's like, I remember that feeling where it was, I'm gonna put my card in. I'm gonna pray that it's like, you know, it's like winning the lottery. Is it gonna come off? Or going to the cash machine to go and draw out a tenner and putting my pin in, and then waiting to hear
and hoping it's not going to go beep, and you're like,
hearing that, going, yes, like I've won something.
But you know, it is the first step, because ultimately, if you know where you are now and you know where you want to get to, you can put a plan in place. And that's what I do. You know, if you wanted to summarize all of the stuff that I do, is I help you get that thing you want. But I help you do it in a way where you still get to spend money having fun along the way. I'm not one of these people that's going to tell you you need to live on economy baked beans and be clipping coupons out of the free paper that comes through your letterbox, you know, and trying to go to Aldi and see if you can get the cheapest amount of shopping for the cheapest amount of money. And, you know, if you want to go shopping at Aldi, that's absolutely fine. But there's nothing to say you can't buy nice things in life. But actually, what you need to do is make a conscious choice as to how you spend it. So like you guys going to Disney, you said you weren't on a massive income. It wasn't just like you could just pay it and go. You had to save for it. But you made a decision, actually, I want to do this for us and our family. This is important to me. So that's where you spent your money, your time, your focus. And this is the key thing. You know, for some clients, you know, they might like spending 80 quid a month on a Sky package because they watch all the sport, they watch all the movies, they do it as a family, it's part of who they are.
Yeah.
Brilliant. If you want to do that, great. But if you're paying 80 quid a month on a Sky package so your kids can watch cartoons, get Netflix and spend the other 75 quid on something that you want. Buy a pair of shoes, buy some gin, whatever you want to buy. But don't fritter it on stuff you're not getting the value out of. Make a choice.
Right.
Yeah. It's one of those things that, you see clients who, like, for example, have chosen to put their kids through private school, which is absolutely great. And I think some people just assume that you have to be really, really wealthy. And often it's not, because I know people who send their kids to private school, but actually then what they do is they go camping in the summer. They don't spend £4,000 going 2 weeks all inclusive to Mallorca with the kids. They drive around a beat up old Volvo. They don't have a new car. They don't have an iPhone because they've chosen to spend the money on that.
Got you.
And I think you can spend the money on whatever you want, but you just need to make the choice.
Yeah, that's it. And one of the other really compelling things, like when me and you have had conversations, many conversations about one of the things that you're really passionate about, and it's the fear that people have around their current situation, or the comfort that they experience within a current situation where they're not really living fulfilling lives in terms of what they are contributing or what their potential is. So what I'm saying here is people that are maybe in employment that actually have a burning desire to create a business outside of that employment. They can see what it is that they can do. They can see what it is that where they can add value to, like, the outside world, outside of the comfort and the security of that employment. And you do some education around that, right?
Yeah, because I found that I suppose it's something that I did myself. So, I mean, I came out of university and I trained to be a pharmacist. I worked for Boots for 17 years, good professional position.
Yeah.
And it was great. It ticked a lot of boxes for me. But as time went on, I realised that it didn't. And I needed more flexibility. I needed to be able to go to my daughter's sports day or have friends round with her to play after school and not be at work all the time.
Right.
And to be able to have weekends off or go on holiday when I wanted, not when someone said, well, this is your 2 weeks annual leave this year, have that flexibility. And I made the change and never looked back. And I found that, that thing where once you notice it a lot more. It's like buying a new car. Everywhere you go, you then see your new car, don't you?
Especially when you've got a yellow Nissan Duke like I have. It's everywhere.
I started to realise how many people that I came across were in a similar position, because when you start working for somebody else in a company, you start and you're keen and you're excited, you want to get on and you want to do things. And a lot of people go on to have really fulfilling careers, but there are a whole group of people that don't, but they've just been there so long, it's comfy. Yeah. It's easy. They've moved up the job grades every year. They get a bit of a pay rise. They might move up to, a new level, a management level or whatever.
Yeah.
And actually, it just becomes easier to stay than to go. And often I find this, the most common place I find it is people who work in things like civil service, local government council positions. Yep. The number of civil servants over the years that I've spoken to, and, when I've had that conversation, I said, well, how long have you been here? It's usually sort of 15, 18 years.
And it's with pension in mind as well, isn't it? Well, I've paid into this pension for so long and now, but then you've got another 14, 15 years worth of working. Like, are you happy?
Yeah, exactly. And the thing about it is that often these jobs, people only plan to work there for a couple of years. They sort of, they came out of college and they saw the job. They thought, well, I'll do this until I can do that thing that I really want to do. And because they then get comfy, they never do that thing they really want to do. Yeah. And I don't know, have you ever seen, there's a film called Up in the Air with George Clooney in it?
No, but it's got George Clooney, and so I'm going to go check it out.
Exactly. I watched it. He basically, in this film, he works as a specialist where he goes around and helps companies make people redundant when they need to. That's part of his role. Right. And he has this conversation with this guy who is sort of in his 50s, and he's just been told he's going to be made redundant. And he's all sad, and he's, what do I do? And blah, blah, blah. And he says to him, right, well, what did you want to do when you came out of college? What did you want to do? He said, I wanted to be a pastry chef, and I wanted to work in hotels and restaurants in Paris. And they said, okay. And then, it basically the conversation was about that You know, this $18,000 he'd been paid in his first job robbed him of his dream. And now 30 years later, he still hasn't done it because it's too easy to sit where you are. And that actually him being made redundant is this opportunity for him to now do that thing he wants to do. And often, you know, we see people being made redundant, whether they decide they want to make the jump or during maternity leave. Often people take 6 months off work, and then as they're starting to think about it, they think, do you know what? I can't face going back to that. I want to do something else. And we're seeing it a lot at the moment with people having been furloughed from coronavirus.
Yes.
There are people sitting there at home now who are thinking, I'm not sure I want to go back to work in September.
Yeah, or even that they've proved that they can work from home. You know,
Exactly.
they've proved it. They've proved that it doesn't take all of those hours. That was the interesting thing for me when I came out of work, started working for myself. I can't remember who had kind of like introduced this concept to me, but I did my most productive work probably in the 8.5 hours that I was at work, 9 hours that I was at work. Only 2.5 of those hours I was actually doing anything, actually work.
It's the Tim Ferriss 4-hour work week thing. You know, if you read that book, he talks about the first stage to this is to get the agreement to work from home and then make sure that your boss is grading you on you getting the tasks done. So by the end of the week, you need to have done A, B, and C. Now, if you can do A, B, and C in 8 hours rather than in 40 hours, you're winning. Because, you know, how much time do you spend that isn't productive? And even in the, you know, even when you work from home, you do it. We all have that moment where we get sucked into Facebook, or you decide that you're going to do something that you shouldn't.
We call it, we call it dicking about.
Exactly. But yeah, so it's about finding what's fulfilling for you. And in the old days, people used to work a job that they would tolerate 30, 40 years, then they would retire, and then they would do what they wanted to do. You know, the number of people
fills me with fear. That fills me. I know, and don't get me wrong, like out there, if if you're watching, this isn't to say that if you have a job and that you should be, you know, fearful or you should feel like that. But for me, being the kind of person I am, the very, very thought of that is what when I eventually lost my job in corporate made me think, that's it. I've got to work for myself now because I can't do it. And I can't do this for another 20 years, 25 years.
But you don't have to be a business owner. I mean, you can have an employed job. A lot of people like the security of an employed job. But all I'm saying is if the job you're in isn't the job you want to be doing, then you need to think about making a change. I mean, I helped a lady this year, well, last year and this year, who is actually a friend of mine as well. And she had one of these brilliant jobs. She worked in a sort of a local government position. She'd been there years and years. She was on a good salary, 60-something grand a year. You know, good lifestyle, been there 15, 20 years, but actually got to the stage where, you know, she'd done various secondments, she'd done various sideways moves because it just wasn't doing what she wanted to do anymore. And what she decided she wanted to do was she wanted to retrain to be a teacher. So this lady had done sort of classical studies or something similar at university. And she said, actually, they're crying out for teachers. I've always wanted to teach this. Why cannot? Let's do it. But, you know, teachers don't earn that amount of money. So what she needed to know was it feasible for her to do that? That's what we work through, is that how are you going to do this? Because she's used to paying her share of the bills in the household. They've got hungry teenagers who expect to be able to open the fridge and find food in it. They're used to going on holidays. Well, yeah, but again, they're used to going on holidays, in school holidays, and spending good money on a holiday. And she's like, I don't want to lose all that, but I can't do this for the next 25 years because ultimately, you know, state retirement age now for anybody born after 1970 is 68. So if you want to think to yourself about how old you are now and how many years it is till officially you reach your retirement age, do you want to plod for the next 20 years?
Yeah.
Because if you don't, then now is the time to make the change. But often you find people have got this vision in their head of what they want to do.
Yeah.
But they think, oh, I'd really like to do that, but they don't know whether they can. You know, I had a guy last year who'd always been a teacher. Lovely job, really enjoyed it, but was finding it increasingly stressful. We've managed to do some bits and pieces. He's now left his job and he works it's like in a studio, and they make things out of wood and rope and, like, you know, you make like a linen basket that's all arty and all craft type. Yeah, they do all this arty type stuff and things with bits of driftwood and all stuff that I can't get my head round. But he earns half the money, but he loves it.
Yeah.
And he gets time with his friends and his family, which, you know, often I find that's the main reason people struggle with corporate. It's not necessarily the job, it's the getting up at stupid o'clock to get on a train, to get to work, working all day, coming home, commute. You know, it's the commute, it's the getting in the evening and just flopping in front of the telly because you just can't be bothered to do anything else.
Anymore. Yeah.
You know, and I think that it is that thing, you know, that you need to
living weekend to weekend as well. So like, and I just recently had this conversation with my mum. She's 60. She turned 60 this year. She's got 8 working years left.
Yeah.
And you know, it's been a real conversation with her. Like, she's finding it stressful going to work, and I'm like, Mum, you're finding this stressful. She's, you know, it's making it poorly. The very thought of it, and these very, very real conversations around, you know, is this what she wants to do? And
I think it's about having a fulfilling life as you go along. And I know that, you know, some people say, oh, well, you know, having a fulfilling life and whatever isn't for me. Normal people like me just get up, go to work, come home. No, normal people like you can have a fulfilling life. You don't have to think that you have to be the same. You can make the choice. I mean, for me, I knew I wanted to do something more flexible. And at one point, I was doing both jobs. I was doing part-time as a pharmacist and then part-time in this role. And I was in a bit of a stuck situation because I was a single parent at the time. Right. I didn't want to give up the security of the employed job because I thought I've got to be able to pay my bills and stuff. Mm-hmm. But I couldn't put enough hours into the self-employed bit to make enough money to get out of the employed bit. And it was round and round and round in a circle. And then I lost my mum. So my mum died just over 10 years ago and she was 59. And she died about 6 weeks short of her 60th birthday, where she would have got her state pension and retired. And the thing about it was a bit of a wake-up call, not because we were close, because we weren't in any way, but just I always remembered all the conversations through life were always, when I retire, I'll do this. When I retire, I'll do that. And she used to talk about things she'd do in her garden, trips she'd take, places she'd go, things, and she never got there. Yeah, you know, and it just really was the sort of the slap in the face with a wet fish moment where you just think, do you know what? I'm not prepared to just put off for one day, because what if one day doesn't come? Right. And that's why, in terms of how I work with people with their money, I say it's not about living on economy baked beans and squirreling it all away for some day in the future, because you know, you could get hit by a train tomorrow. Right. Sorry, but that's life. You know, we don't know what's going to happen. You know,
we don't know where we are in the queue, do we? We don't know where we are.
Coronavirus has shown us that. You know, we all know people that have got ill or have died from coronavirus who actually this time last year still thought they had 30 years to go. Right. So, you know, I'm not there as a doom and gloom monger. And equally, you can't be completely frivolous and live like today is your last and spend every penny. Because if you do live to be 94, then actually you're going to end up skint in your old age and no one wants that. But it's balance, isn't it? It's about making sure that you are preparing for the future, but having fun along the way. Right. You know, and I heard you saying earlier that, you know, you now are not working weekends because, you know, you want that quality of life. I don't work Fridays. You know, today is one of my days off. I work a 4-day week.
This isn't working. We're not working.
This isn't working. This is fun. This is fun. But, you know, I don't work on Fridays, again, because I like to have some time where I can get out and enjoy life. You know, I don't want to work an 80-hour week. People have said to me before, well, do you know what? You could have more clients. You could earn more money if you put in more hours. I'm like, don't want to.
All right.
I don't want to work 60 hours a week.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's whatever it's like you said right at the beginning, it's knowing where you're at right now and knowing where you want to be. And that, yes, that could have a financial figure on it, but success looks like lots of different things. And success often is a feeling as opposed to a number in your bank account. So when you make those decisions, you've got to make the decision with your real outcomes in mind. So I talk about success, whatever success looks like to you. Is it more time with your family? Is it the ability to buy the pair of shoes or the handbag that you want? Is it the holidays? Is it the bigger house? Is it the whatever success looks like to you? doesn't necessarily have to have a financial number on it, or the financial number on it isn't mutually exclusive to the feeling that you could possibly get by making those decisions. But knowing what your capacity is to be able to live is the most important step towards getting the things that will fill your cup up, because you can then make savvy choices.
Exactly. And the thing is, it's going to be different for everybody. But I would say that whatever that picture you've got in your head of what you want to do, at some point, it's going to involve money. If you want to set a business up, you're going to need money. You're going to need an income, because you've still got your rent or your mortgage and your bills and things to pay. If you want to buy a car or a holiday or a pair of shoes, you need to know how much they're going to be, when you want to buy them by, so you can work out where the money's coming from. It's just a process. But it doesn't matter whether you're saving for a £200,000 Aston Martin or a pair of boots you've seen in Clarks that are 160 quid. You know, it really doesn't matter as long as you're making that little bit of progress. And I'm a great believer in just starting where you are and getting moving. I think the biggest thing that people find with their money often is paralysis, is that they just sit there thinking, well, someone like me could never do that. And they stare out of the window, dreaming of a future, where actually, you know, it is that metaphor that it's, you know, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. You just have to do the little bit and just keep moving. And, you know, one of my favorite books is a book called The Slight Edge. It's one that I tell everybody that they should be reading. And the premise is that every decision you make either moves you closer towards or further away from that thing you want, which means they start off like this, and actually the two lines go apart. And every day, if you know where you're headed, you know, if you know that you want to save to take your kids to Disney, then when you see that, shall we get a Domino's pizza? You think to yourself, actually, no, that 30 quid's going in the Disney fund. You make the choice because you've got something to aim for. And I just think I think you can do whatever you want, and it's not about the money itself, but the money will help you get that feeling that you want.
So how do you help people now? Like, what are the ways that you work with people now?
Okay, so there are various things that I do, and I aim to be accessible because I want to help everyday people. So I work one-to-one with clients, and I've got a premium VIP offering, which often includes us either working remotely or doing a VIP day. Sometimes people will come here, have a day at a lunch with the alpacas, and we'll do all their money stuff in one go.
Love it.
But I've also got a membership community, because I wanted to make sure that there was something that was accessible, so that if you're not at the stage where you need that one-to-one hand holding, but you want to be able to make a start on getting your financial stuff organized, you can do that. So it's called Your Financial Friend, because ultimately that's me. I am your financial friend, your financial expert in your pocket. And it's an online portal, which means you can access it 24/7. The content's all organized into little tiny modules. So you've got one about organizing your money, you've got one about pensions, you've got one about family finances. So you can dip in and out the bits you want. You don't go into it and think, oh, there's all this stuff, what am I going to do? You can do it the way you want.
A little bit at a time.
And I've done a mixture of different types of learning. So some of it is written text, some of it is video walkthrough. So for example, there's one in there about how to find out what your state pension age is. And I've got a video, and I show you on the screen how you use the government website to find it out step by step. We do master classes. And then, although I've got a Facebook group, it's not really used for community. It's used more for events and that type of thing. What I have got is a confidential question portal. So this was something that I put in specifically because people often struggle to talk about money. And I wanted to find that if there was a question someone had, they can ask it, and then I can either go back to them individually, or I can do a training on it, or a little live video in the Facebook group where I can talk about the topic without saying who asked for the question, because for everybody who's brave enough to ask, there's somebody who doesn't know but doesn't want to ask.
And the questions aren't, I'm sure you'll find this, because I find this in business and I find this in speaking, that the questions that people ask, somebody else is asking it and they're just not typing it. You know, there are no, just like there's no new news, like people aren't training anything that's brand new unless it's a new concept. No one's training anything that's brand new. The questions aren't brand new either.
Exactly. And the thing is, I can I can put the content into the portal that I think people need. And each month I put in some new topics. I send them an email, say, right, these are the things that have come in this month. And it'll either be a whole new topic or an addition to an existing topic.
Yeah.
But all broken down into little bits. So there's a section on ISAs, and it's like, what is an ISA? Why would you want one? What's the difference between a cash ISA and a stocks and shares ISA?
Right.
But yeah, it's all broken down into little mini bits and pieces. Yeah. And then, I might add something else in about a different investment next month or something like that. We do different things, but it's all done in a way that means that you can just do a bit. There's a little action attached to it. So you feel like you're making progress.
This is it.
Because that's the hardest thing, I think, is that sometimes people think they're not getting anywhere.
Or it's really so overwhelming. There's a lot of that is in finance. So there's lots of jargon. There's lots of products. There's lots of, and if you are just getting to grips with it, people will be watching this and they will be completely to grips with their money and it'll be fabulous. And they know that they're further along in their understanding journey. But for people that are just starting out, ISAs and all of this sort of stuff it is a minefield. Investments, pensions, and when you first say those things, I remember you saying to me, "Oh, it's just not sexy," and I'm like, Claire, money is sexy as shit to people. Like, people want to know how they're going to make more money or how to make themselves safe with money. Like, don't get me wrong. Even when money was frightening, money was sexy, like, because it is the key that unlocks a lot of the freedoms for you. So to be able to access that information in a way that is, you can do it in small chunks and not overwhelm yourself is massively helpful, especially to anybody who's watching out there that's thinking, it's a fucking minefield. I'm not even going to bother. Because
and I think the other thing is that, I think we've all seen the posts on Facebook, but you've got to be careful with most things, but with money particularly, who you're listening to. Okay. Right. So, I'm not here to be a big head, but yes, I am fully qualified. I've won awards and all the rest.
You've learned some things. You've got some experience.
I know some stuff about this. But the point is, you will see stuff online to do with money that is either not a good idea, is out of date, or has been written by somebody who really has not got a clue. And the danger is that people will listen to their mate Sandra on Facebook about what they should be doing with their mortgage rather than actually getting some proper advice. I mean, I ended up on a post in someone's Facebook group this week where someone had said, I'm a business owner, I need to chat about getting a mortgage, blah, blah, blah. And all these people had started chipping in with, you need 3 years accounts, you can only do this, blah, 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 and whatever. And I actually put on there, I said, well, actually, no.
Yeah.
I've done it with 3 years accounts, 2 years accounts. People are saying you need to have accounts from an accountant. No, you don't. You can use your tax returns. You need 3 years. No, you don't. I've done it with 1 year and a projection. You need this. No, actually you don't. Some lenders, if you decided to go to NatWest for your mortgage, they're going to have a particular criteria, but their criteria will be different from Barclays or Santander or Skipton or Virgin or anybody else. And what somebody like me will do is look at your situation and say, right, you want to get a mortgage, you've seen this dream home, this is the lender that's going to do it, and this is what's going to happen to get it through first time. And there's a lot of misinformation out there, and not just with mortgages, but with all sorts of money things where people say, I don't need to get a pension because I've got a rental property, that will be my pension when I'm old. Well, that's all well and good, but actually if you have to retire early because you're ill, what are you going to do? You're going to throw your tenants out, sell the house? How long is that before any money comes in? Rental property is great as an investment, but you can't have all your eggs in one basket.
Right.
So I suppose what I do is help people just to make intelligent choices and to help keep them away from some of the scams and things that are out there when, they do see things. And unfortunately with social media, because it's not regulated, there is stuff that appears on Facebook or LinkedIn or whichever profile you're on, but Facebook, I think, is prime for it. And there'll be some massive big scam. And then before you know it, they're having to pull it. I mean, this week already, we're looking at the Bitcoin thing on Twitter, where big companies have been hacked and had stuff posted on their Twitter feeds that people should be investing in Bitcoin.
Right.
Which is just, you need to make sure that you're doing your research. And
there's a lot around Bitcoin. I mean, we had a look at it a couple of years ago, and Wallace was really sort of into it and did a lot of research and even then It was in the run up, and then the whole thing crashed. It was still, you know, even then, and it's all stayed on its knees since then. It's done very little to recover. For anybody that's, you know, thinking about Bitcoin or electronic currencies, that's a minefield.
Well, it is, because it's not regulated. So,
Yeah.
you know, the thing about it is, you know, I would say to people, if you want to put money into Bitcoin, you need to think of it like you would if you're going to buy a lottery ticket or you're going to go to the casino. You know, if you've got 100 quid, you can stick in Bitcoin and you don't care whether you get it back or not. Yeah,
And let
if
it just do what it's going to do.
You want to play with it, you can play with it. But actually, it often doesn't work like that, because it works and it fires up the same endorphins as in your brain as gambling. Yes. And to be fair, all investments and things do. It's an emotional cycle. As it goes up, you feel better and you feel happy and optimistic and excited and on top of the world.
And you want to throw more money at it.
That's it. And as it goes down, you go, oh, and then it comes back up and you're like, yay. Yeah. And that's the reason why people often get sucked into these things, because, you know, you see somebody who puts 100 quid into Bitcoin, and when they then look at it at the end of the week, it's worth 120 quid. They're like, oh, okay. And then next week it's worth 200 quid. They're like, this is good. Let's stick 10 grand in it. And then suddenly it's worth 2 grand next week.
Yes.
And the problem is you don't know. And if it goes wrong, there is no regulation. You know, if the people who control your Bitcoin server decide to pull the plug on it, you can't get your money back, and you can't claim off anyone. So it is a bit of a problem. But unfortunately, sometimes people who haven't got any money will do these things because, like you said with the lottery win, it's their ticket out of the mess they're in.
Right.
They think that's the only solution. They think, I will never get out of this unless I win the lottery, or unless I, you know, do something dramatic.
Something kind of unthinkable, dramatic, or rely on chance or fate to intervene, instead of actually taking the steps that they possibly could to get there, and actually probably get there quicker if they did it in a way that was savvy, like you say, looking at the foundations, looking at the plan, looking at the things that are out there that are visceral, that where you're protected, all of those sorts of things, instead of chucking the 100 quid and then ultimately, and I know people that have done this, throw thousands of quid into a black hole and they don't know where that's going. And some people were really lucky, and some people were really not lucky.
Same happens with lottery tickets. It really does. I mean, I see people who are on moderate to low incomes. So say they're earning less than £15,000 a year, who regularly spend £10 a week on the lottery.
Right.
Okay. So that is £520 a year.
Mm-hmm.
That £520, if you put it into an ISA or into a pension, over 30 years is going to be worth a lot more to you than anything you're ever going to win on the lottery. But it's the hope. It's that thought that you might get something amazing. And, you know, I just think it's more realistic if you stop waiting to be rescued by somebody else. You know, you're not.
The cavalry really isn't coming. Not really.
You know, exactly. The bloke on the white horse, or the lottery win, is not going to happen for 99.99% of people. It just isn't, which means if you want this thing, whatever it is, you need to get off your backside and do it. And if you need some help with that and you can't do it, then someone like me can help you.
Exactly.
And we can sit down one-to-one and we can do it if you want the intensive. But if you're happy to do it at your own pace, then things like the membership will let you do that. At a really affordable price. So it's £36 a month. There's no tie-in. So if you go in and you do what you need to do in a couple of months and you think, actually, I'm done, you can come out. You can always go back in later. But, you know, it's a way of taking the little step and taking charge of it.
You know what? It's honestly, you've got me fired up for so many people out there that you know, having this really straight conversation with everybody, anyone that's watching, this straight conversation. The cavalry's not coming. There are tools and support out there that you can today that will help you take, get that edge, and take those steps and get to where it is that you want to go. Tracy, you need to go back to the beginning if you're late to the party and watch this through, because I know you will absolutely love this. But understanding, and don't be sad, because actually now the power's in your hands. You just give back all the power. It's not the lottery anymore. It's not the guy that you might have to marry, or the woman that you might have to marry, or whatever it is. It's now the power's in your hands. You get to choose. You get to call the shots. You get to make the plan, and you get to make the thing happen. And I'm like, yes, that's exactly what it should be.
Exactly. And the thing is, you don't have to start from a place that is all done and sorted. You can start from being in debt. You can start with no savings. You can start with nothing at
credit
all.
rating.
And just get on and do it, because there are things that you can do, and that's the thing about, where I am. And I know that, you've done the same. I didn't come from a background where everything was handed to me.
Mm-hmm.
I have had to work my way up to where I am now. And yes, I have a good job and a flexible lifestyle, and I live a nice house with alpacas in the garden. But it didn't just magically, I didn't wake up one morning and open the curtains and it was all there.
Like, oh, alpacas, good morning.
Yeah, well, it's funny because now I can, because the house that we bought, when we were looking at houses, the picture I had in my head was that I could open the curtains in the morning and see the alpacas, and the field that the alpacas are in is sideways onto the house, but we've got a bay window in the bedroom, so when I open the curtains and look round like that, I can actually see them.
Amazing.
And it is a brilliant thing, and I love it. And it's about the quality of life. It makes me smile every day.
And it's that, isn't it? It's the filling up of your cup, and it isn't just necessarily the numbers. It's the what is going to make you happy. And money is a fabulous way to get the things that you want. It's not the money that's the outcome. It's the things that you want, and the lifestyle that you want is the outcome, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's about the feeling. It's never about the money, because money on itself will not make you happy. If you look at statistics, and yes, I'm a numbers person. I like numbers. That's how it goes.
It's a good job you do what you do.
Why would you do this? Yeah, but 70% of people who win the lottery, like a big lottery win, have lost all the money within 5 years.
Yeah,
because money just amplifies you, who you are, and how you go about life. Money will make whatever that is bigger. So if you are great with money, even if you're only saving £1 a week towards that thing you want, if you were to have a lot of money, either because you earn it or you win it, you will do brilliantly. If you're somebody that hasn't got the basics under control, I could give you £1 million and you'd just blow it, because you just wouldn't know what you're meant to be doing. Your brain wouldn't be in the right place for it. So I think getting these basics sorted is really, really important. We've got money mindset is coming up as a topic in August.
Amazing.
And we've also got coming up talking to your kids about money, because I'm really conscious that we need to be breaking the cycle on this. And so it's really important that people know what to say, so that you do break the cycle.
Well, do you know what, Claire? All of those things, particularly speaking to your kids about money, because again, I remember being told, like my mum and my uncle were having a conversation about money and told us to go away. Because we're not meant to know about what happens and who does what, where, when. Get out. We're all talking about money. Off you get. So having these conversations with kids is so important. And do you know what? Again, as with many of our guests, we could talk all day about this, but we've run out of time. But we have run out of time. If you have just joined the party, please do go back to the beginning of this live. It is such a necessary conversation now more than ever, especially for this community. Get hold of those basics, get hold of them, and then on that is a foundation on which you can build. And I cannot recommend Claire highly enough for being one of the people in my life who is just an absolute legend to be around with this in mind. So the membership's open right now, isn't it? The doors are open until the end of the month?
Closed on the 31st, which is Friday. In about 10 days, 2 weeks time. 2 weeks today. Today's Friday. I don't even know what day it is. It's lockdown for you, lockdown brain.
Don't know what day it is.
It closes on the 31st, and then it won't reopen again till the autumn. But £36 a month. There's no tie-in. There is a discount if you buy. You can buy the year for $360. You get a couple of months free if you want to commit to the year. But monthly is absolutely fine. And it's a really good place to be. So what I'll do is when we come off this, I'll drop the link in. It's not going to let me put it on here because I'm not signed into StreamYard, so it doesn't let me put it in. But
if you pop it in the comments, absolutely. So for everybody that's watching, Claire's going to pop the membership details in there, and also, of course, her website and how you can get a hold of it if you need any advice. She is absolutely wonderful. I can't recommend her highly enough. So Claire Sweet, my darling, thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to say that again.
I said, that's fine. That's no problem. I will see you again another day.
You will do indeed, and please do come back onto the show. We need to carry on having these conversations, and the more that we can get this message out there, the better for the better for everybody's success. If we're talking about showing up, wising up, and rising up, the bit we need to wise up about is our money, how we manage it, so that we can do the things that we need to do in order to rise up. Claire Sweet, my darling, I love you. That was Claire Sweet, everybody. And that was another week on the Show Up, Wise Up, Rise Up show. What a fabulous conversation to be rounding out this week with. Getting that fire in your belly, knowing that the cavalry isn't coming. You're the cavalry, my friends. You are the cavalry, my darlings. Coming up next week, we have got another fabulous set of guests for you. We've got the fabulous Tom Stanhope, one of my videographers and very, very dear friends, going to be joining us talking about content and cocktails this coming Monday. We've got the fabulous Martina joining us on Tuesday, Sarah Cook on Wednesday, Phyllis Woodfine on Thursday, and on Friday we're going to be talking about health with Emma Louise Fasari. So thank you for everybody that's joined us this week. If you are not a member of the Hive already, please join the IATQB Hive to carry on the conversation. Just search IATQB Hive. It stands for I Am the Queen Bee, and if you don't already follow me on the socials, follow me, the Queen Bee Danny. We're going to be starting a weekly email on a Friday telling you about what we've been learning over the course of the week with our guests, and also who's going to be coming up the following week. So if you do want to know more and keep abreast of what's happening on the show in the next few days, you will be able to sign up for that email and we can share with you all the good stuff as it unfolds. Loads of exciting things happening. Thank you for joining me this week. It has been an absolute pleasure. Shake your bums, my darlings. It is Friday. I am excited for you guys. I am excited for me. Have an incredible weekend, and I will see you on Monday, 8 o'clock, Monday to Friday, the Show Up, Wise Up, Rise Up show. I'm the Queen Bee Danny. You've been amazing. I'll see you all later.